A very special welcome to this 10th episode of My Avatar, My Identity. When I first met her, our guest for this show, way back in 2012, I was simply amazed by the way in which she blended two states, the one that she was born into and the one that she got married into. And even today, I'm just blown away by the way in which she mixes and brings together her personal values and her exceptional professional commitment, especially in an industry where women are an absolute anomaly. Yes, by now I'm sure you must have guessed that today we have with us Abanti Sankaranarayanan, Chief Strategy and Corporate Affairs Officer for Diageo India. Welcome to the show. Abanti, it's wonderful having you with us here on the My Avatar, My Identity show. And it looks like it's 2012 again, all over again. I mean, you don't look a day older, I must say, Abanti.
Well,
So,
thank you for that. And Saundarya, I could say the same to you, but really,
thank
thank you
you.
for having me.
Thank you, Abanti. And I'm going to begin right at the beginning. What made you apply for the Tata Administrative Services job, the TAS job? I know that it is one of those really looked forward to sort of organizations and jobs. But then the point is, this was the time immediately after liberalization and privatization that all the MNCs were entering India. What made you choose an Indian company?
So, three or four things, Saundarya. The first one was the fact that Tata's had such an amazing reputation, and they still do. So, I shouldn't use it in the past tense. But this was 1992, and Tata's were absolutely aspirational. That too for somebody like me who was coming from, an IAS family background, government
Okay.
background. So that was one. The second was the fact that the Tatas promised through the TAS uh, a career. And in fact, one of the things that they told you in the application was if you apply for the TAS, you're applying for a career, not a job. And that appealed to me. And the third thing is the sheer diversity of the Tata group. And so I thought, although you will have one employer, you will have multiple experiences and very diverse experiences.
Amanti, tell us about the diversity and inclusion journey at Diageo. I know that you were kind of, driving it during the times we've had a conversation. But how has your journey really been? What are some of your milestones?
So it's been a very successful journey, though there is still miles to go. But let me just share that in the last 5 years, we've made incredible progress on gender diversity, which has been
Okay.
the area of
Okay.
focus. So 5 years ago, the percentage of women in our management team was only about 7.5%.
Hmm.
It's now 19%, so that's more than double. Uh,
Fantastic.
we have three women in the 8-member executive committee. So apart
Okay.
from myself, the CMO of the company and the general counsel are women.
Okay.
And finally, in the front end of the business, in
Uh-huh.
manufacturing, which is
Uh-huh.
normally felt to be a different function to get gender diversity, we
Yes.
recently hit a century. We have 100 women now in a management team in our supply function of 600. So that's quite incredible.
This is just absolutely incredible. And again, it makes me wonder that you would definitely give one of the 100 best companies for women in India a run for their money. So kudos to you, Abanti, on this.
Thank you.
I was looking at the Business Today's cover edition of the most powerful women in business. And yes, no surprises, it features you. So, from that young girl straight out of IIM Ahmedabad in 1992 to this woman, one of the most powerful women in Indian business, how has the transition been?
Well, I will say that it's been an incredibly fulfilling journey, Saundarya. And I say fulfilling because, at the end of the day and at this stage in your career, you need the journey to be, something that is truly satisfying. And so that's my sort of top of mind response to how the journey has been.
Yeah.
But also just the fact that I have traversed, like they say, a long race. In Hindi, they say lambe lambe, daud
Safar
ka
ka
ghora,
ghoda, yes.
lambe safar ka ghora.
I remember having this very interesting conversation with you in your office, in your Diageo office. And you were at that point of time the managing director of Diageo India. And you were responsible for all the acquisition of various brands, alcohol brands. And one of the things I remember you were telling me is that it's no different from any other business that one would run. This is exactly the same, but the perceptions of what it means to be a woman in an alcohol industry seems to be what I think people are more concerned about. How does it feel now? How are you learning to, look at people who are asking you probably the same questions even now?
Yeah, and the answer for me hasn't changed even now to the same question. But genuinely, I have never felt any different from my men colleagues at work at any point in time. And I suppose I have to thank both TAS as well as Diageo for that, because I think that's true inclusivity.
Yes.
Which is that whether you're a man or a woman, you feel included, and part of the price of inclusivity is if the going is tough for men, it's also tough for women. So I think it's really gender agnostic as far as I'm concerned. So for me, really, this gender thing, I understand why people ask that question, particularly for our industry, because you don't see very many senior women in the industry. But it's the same. I mean, I think my men colleagues have it as difficult as me. So yeah.
Abanti, there are thousands of young women who are watching this show, and a lot of them have a lot of questions in their minds. They're wondering whether their career is going to be sustainable. They're thinking, how can I make this career really happen? Would it have to be a toss up between choosing a professional career and then having a good personal life, and so on and so forth? What are your words of advice for these young women?
So I would say, you know, be ambitious about yourself. I
Mm.
think everything really starts with having ambition. And I think young women, have to not just have ambition, but feel quite proud and not guilty about being ambitious. So I would say have ambition. The second is to sort of choose very judiciously the company and the culture in which you want to work, because I think that can be a make or break between whether or not you do have a long and successful career. So I think that is a very, very important choice. An equally important choice, if you do choose to marry, is who you marry. And I'm very unabashed about it, which is that you have to choose a spouse who will be absolutely a bulwark of support for you. And the final thing I would say is, don't give up. It gets very hard at times to manage personal and professional lives. You have to work incredibly hard to succeed, but don't give up. Make some career adjustments now and then at important points in your sort of stage of life, but don't completely step off and say, I'm now just going to not pursue a career,
Mm.
because in a long career of 25, 30 years, a few adjustments here and there absolutely don't matter.
Oh, that was beautiful. That was gorgeous. And coming straight from your heart, I think it just is going to make a big difference to many, many thousands of women who will take your words very seriously. My final question to you, Abanti, for today's show. I was having this chat with another friend, and I was talking about the work that we do, that Avatar
Yeah.
does in the space of career intentionality and intentional career pathing for women. And then this friend just turned around and said, "You know what? You guys are constantly building these quite powerful, very intentional women. Who's teaching the men to handle them? Who's teaching the men how they can behave around such powerful women?" And then, I was taken aback a little bit by that. So I just want you to explain how Diageo is creating a culture of male allyship. and how
Yeah.
that is making a difference to the women that you're attracting to Diageo.
So it's interesting you say that, because we actually had allyship as one of our inclusivity themes in one of the campaigns that we actually ran within the organization. So I think we do a bunch of things really, Saundarya. So let me mention a couple of them. So one is that we absolutely make inclusivity part of our culture and therefore relevant to men and women. We never,
Oh,
yeah.
right.
So it's again gender
Beautiful.
agnostic.
Yes.
So that's one. The second thing that we do is, really make sure that the men are always in the conversation. And that could be something as simple but powerful as including them on a panel on International Women's Day and not just have women there. It could be, having programs for line managers, a large number of whom can be men, programs on removing unconscious bias. Yeah. But essentially making sure by including men that one, they are not getting left out of the conversation, but two, they are starting to take ownership of this and they're starting to also see the impact on them and their work and their teams that it can have. So I think absolutely including men in the true spirit of inclusivity is really the secret.
Avanti, thank you. It has been an absolutely interesting, fascinating, small conversation. And I just remember the times that we have exchanged thoughts and how often you have hosted me at your office whenever I said I'm in Mumbai.
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
you just say, come over. So thank you so much for sparing your time, Avanti. And thank you once again for being part of the My Avatar, My Identity show. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Sonia. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
So this is my avatar, my identity, something that has held me in good stead throughout my career. And therefore, something I would tell the young women watching this show: be ambitious for yourself.
And that was Abanti Sankaranarayanan, a true glass ceiling breaker, someone who has established leadership in an industry absolutely unknown for women, and someone who's setting the bar so high that I think many, many thousands of women will want to aspire to be like Abanti. Thank you for watching My Avatar, My Identity, and we hope that you have subscribed, liked, and shared the series, and looking forward to bringing you many, many more inspirational guests. Thank you.